This is the Demystifying Crypto and Building Wealth podcast.
I knew that would be worth trillions.
That had never existed in human history. There's been massive opportunities.
The #1 podcast to help you understand and get insights into the crypto world, blockchain technology, wealth building, and financial investing. Now, here's your host, Tico Tawari, the world's #1 most trusted cryptocurrency analyst and Wall Street veteran with decades of experience in the financial space.
Okay, so friends, I need to let you know that this is going to be a quick update. I didn't want to skip it. I didn't want to give a recording because there's a lot going on. My youngest daughter is graduating from university tomorrow up in Pennsylvania. And so I'm taking a flight out this afternoon to go up there. So I'm going to give you just the most important things that I need to share with you today, just so you can, Staten Island, of course, Strong Island, just be mentally prepared for what I see coming next. The other thing that I wanted to let you know is that I finally have my proper research website up. It's called TawariResearchGroup.com. And I have a newsletter there that you can sign up for. It's called the Digital Asset Daily. I have a lot of content on there right now that I suggest you work your way through. When you go to the first page, it's going to ask you for an email address in order for you to continue reading. That's just so I can stay in contact with you and let you know when I launch. I'm launching my paid newsletter service in June, but I wanted you to get involved via this free e-letter that I'm doing now. In that free e-letter, it says the Digital Asset Daily, but I don't have enough staff yet to put out something every day. So you'll probably hear from me anywhere from 2 days a week on a slow week, 5 days a week on a busy week. And it'll be a combination of commentary and video like this when I see things happening in the market. So there's one particular story on there that I want to bring your attention. I published it on May 3rd. It's called The Low Risk Way to Make Big Profits from Altcoin Volatility. And that article is really what I want to talk to you about today. In that article, when I wrote it, Bitcoin was dropping. It got as low as 56 and change. In that article, I said, we're probably going to rally up to around 62 to 64K. If we do not make headway above 64K, then Bitcoin's going to reverse. And then you have to be mentally prepared to potentially see 52 to 55K on Bitcoin. And if 52 to 55K doesn't hold, if we have a, particularly rough sell-off, you could see prices as low as 42 to 45 in May. Now, in the article, I say that doesn't mean that we go and we sell our core stack because, Tika said we might see 45K, we might see 52K. We always leave the core stack alone. Even if I think that there's going to be a fairly serious pullback, a 30 or 40% pullback, which we see all the time in Bitcoin, I don't mess around with my core stack. And a prime example is, think about what happened in last March. Bitcoin was trading around 15, 16K, and then part of the American banking system started to collapse. And then overnight, Bitcoin went to 30K, overnight. So that can happen at any moment in Bitcoin. Something could happen outside of the knowledge of any of us, and Bitcoin can go to 90,000, 100,000, 120,000. So you don't want to play games with your core stack. Your core stack is there for you to ride out that bigger move. As I've said, I think over the course of this bull market, we'll see at least $150,000 on Bitcoin, potentially much more. But what you do want to do with these pullbacks, especially when you're in the very early phases of a bull market, is you want to trade them if you're so inclined to trade. If you say, no, T, I'm just a long-term investor, then don't worry about it. You don't have to force yourself to do something you don't want to do or you're not comfortable with. But for those of you that like to trade or want to trade, I wrote an article on how to trade the volatility, not just in Bitcoin, but also in altcoins. Now, if you remember last week, I talked about Doge and I talked about Solana, and they were getting beat up. And I said, look, for traders, they should look at those two names right here. Both of those names have moved up quite a bit, 20, 30% from those lows. So it's important that if you're going to trade alts, it's important that you know about the importance of Bitcoin to your alt trading. And so in that article, The Low Risk Way to Make Big Profits from Altcoin Volatility, I do a deep dive on how you can use the activity in Bitcoin. If you're expecting a rally in Bitcoin, if you're expecting a drop in Bitcoin, how you can use that volatility in Bitcoin in order to make outsized returns in altcoins. So I strongly urge that you read that. You can get that at tawariresearchgroup.com. That's tawariresearchgroup.com. That's where you can gain access to my free e-letter, and you can go there right now and sign up for it. And you'll get access to all my free content as I create it and as I push it out. And on that platform, I'll be sending a combination of video updates and also written updates as well. So there's a very specific question someone's asking about an individual. I can't offer personalized investment advice, but what I will say is that I have made the decision that when Bitcoin trades 150K, I'm going to take half of that money off the table. If I was 22 and had no money or no net worth at all, I'd probably do that. If I was a little older, like maybe 25 to 28, I'd probably just continue to let it compound, because there's no asset that a 25 or 28-year-old is going to own that's going to compound at the same rate of return over the next 7 years that Bitcoin will, in my opinion. This is a great question about altcoin season. So altcoin season always comes after Bitcoin has its next big run. So what's going to happen is you're going to see alts flounder a little bit, ETH will flounder a little bit, people will flock to Bitcoin, Bitcoin will have a huge run, and then what'll happen is you will see that the Bitcoin's dominance will rise dramatically as it expands in value. And then as we go further into the cycle, I believe next year, what'll happen is Bitcoin's dominance will go down as people take profits out of Bitcoin and they start redeploying them in ETH, Solana, Doge, and a slew of other altcoins. And that's when the altcoin season will really begin in earnest. So the reason why I have pushed the launch of my paid newsletter till June is I think markets are going to be choppy in crypto between here and June. And in that article that I wrote, I show how the beta of altcoins, meaning how much further they move up and down based on Bitcoin, is so large that if Bitcoin drops a total of, let's say 30 or 40%, then altcoins are going to drop 60, 70, 80%. And that is going to lead to a massive opportunity in the altcoins. The biggest mistake that people make in investing and make in crypto is they fear the volatility, the downside volatility. But it's the downside volatility which is where you make all the money, especially when you are so early in the bull market cycle. Now, later in the cycle, there's a lot more risk buying the dip than buying the dip now when you're this early in the cycle. So keep that in mind. You want to have your core stack that you leave alone, and then you have your trading stack. And your trading stack is for short-term trading. It's not to hold it. I don't have any comments on XRP right now. I've talked about the Ethereum ETF. I think that will ultimately get approved this cycle. But it's not going to get approved right away. So I just want to run through this one more time. Bitcoin did not stay above 64K. It got sold into at 64K, which is what I expected it to happen. Do not be surprised if we see a move to 52 to 55K, then another rally, probably a very sharp rally. And then if that rally doesn't take hold, don't be surprised if we roll over again and maybe have it could be just one print, somewhere in that 42 to 45 range, clean out all the paper hands, and then we go higher. Now, am I guaranteeing that's going to happen? No, we could just as easily tomorrow turn around and go to the moon. And if that's the case, that's great. But if that doesn't happen, I want you to be mentally prepared and physically prepared with a trading strategy to take advantage of it. All right. So I'm going to repeat myself again. Am I guaranteeing that Bitcoin could go to 42 or 52K? No, nobody can guarantee that. I am looking at the charts and the charts look weak. Does that mean I'm saying that you should sell your core Bitcoin right now? No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying hold your core Bitcoin. What I'm saying is that you want to put yourself in a position to profit from a deeper pullback if we experience one. And I wrote an article that explains exactly how to do that. It's called The Low Risk Way to Make Big Profits from Altcoin Volatility. You can go read it at tawariresearchgroup.com. In this period, in the calendar year after we have a halving, every pullback is a buying opportunity. Every pullback is a buying opportunity. Sometimes those pullbacks are deeper than others, and this is why you need the appropriate strategy for how to enter into those trades. If you follow the process that I've written about in that article, it will automatically put you in a position where you are committing the most amount of capital at the cheapest price and the least amount of capital at the highest price. And it took me a long time to figure out how to reverse that. You know, when I was buying on weakness, I was putting 60 to 80% of my position in on the first pullback. And then when you get the bigger pullback, I just didn't have much capital to put to work there. But that's where all the cake is. That's where all the big money is when you get that panic sell-off, when there are no more buyers, and you get to go in there and scoop things up on the cheap. So in that article that I wrote, I give you a step-by-step plan how to invert the way that you normally enter these trades on a pullback. I have no idea why Gary Gensler is so anti-crypto, but I'm going to say something that many of you won't agree with. I think it's a great thing. Here's what I've learned about Bitcoin. The more resistance it faces, the stronger it becomes. The better players come into the space. The more credible people come into the space. Bitcoin is something that gets stronger the more you push against it. Nassim Taleb calls it, he says it's the term he uses, he doesn't use this for Bitcoin, but the term he uses is to describe this trait is anti-fragile. People that are anti-fragile aren't just resilient. It's not that they can just take a punch from life, but they grow stronger from it. And that's true for Bitcoin. And so if Bitcoin can't survive Gary Gensler, it doesn't deserve to be alive. It doesn't deserve to continue. But clearly, Bitcoin has faced far worse threats than Gary Gensler. Think about way back when all the Bitcoin mining, essentially all the Bitcoin mining was done in China. And then China banned owning Bitcoin, trading Bitcoin, and also mining Bitcoin. For years, people were afraid that would be the death knell of Bitcoin. Sure, Bitcoin took a hit. It got hit hard, but it came roaring back and made new highs. What do I think about Saylor saying Bitcoin is the only crypto that will be allowed in ETF? I don't agree with that. I don't think that's true. Okay, so just to let you know, just a quick word to all my old subscribers. I can't give you the newsletter for free, unfortunately, because I have to hire a staff. I've got to keep the lights on. I don't have the same type of resources that I had when I was at Palm Beach Research Group. But I will definitely give the best deal that I can give, I will give to my former members. So I don't know what that number is yet. I have to sit down and figure that out, but I want to make that commitment to you. I'm also going to track every single open recommendation that we had in the old letters. So it's going to be just like picking up where we left off. And again, I had no control with how that went down. It was as much of a shock to me as it was to you. And I'm going to do everything in my power to pick up those pieces and really just kind of get the continuity for you, because the way you were treated was just completely out of line. The way I was treated was completely out of line. But anyway, that's my mission. That's what I intend to do. And I'm going to do everything in my power to put you in a position to win the way that I always have throughout all these years together. Okay, we've got a quick question here. I've been reading and researching about the US dollar weakening and possibly being largely devalued. With that said, when liquidating cryptocurrencies, what to do with the funds? It's a great question. I'm going to say what I'm going to do. I'm not telling you what you to do specifically. I'm not allowed to do that. But for me, I'm going to have short-term bonds, anywhere from 30 days to 90-day bonds. And what I'm going to do is just wait for an asset bubble to pop, which they always do every 15 or 20 years. So I think equities are probably going to peak somewhere 2026, 2027, somewhere in that range. Real estate will probably peak somewhere in that range. And then there'll be certainly money to be made on the short side, which I'm looking forward to. I've not been an active shorter in equities since, 2001, 2000. It's been a long time. I did a little bit in 08, but not enough. There'll be a lot of money to be made there, playing the unwind of the asset bubble. And then I think prices will probably bottom out somewhere in 28, 29. And that's where I'll be putting a lot of capital to work in equities and in real estate. Okay, yes, we're launching in June. All right, so friends, TawariResearchGroup.com is my new website where I'm hosting my free e-letter. Please go there, TawariResearchGroup.com. I've got a ton of content up there already, and that's where I'm going to be communicating with you regularly, letting you know my latest thoughts on crypto and also just impromptu videos like this. All right, friends, I want to thank you so much for joining in today. I appreciate your support. I can't tell you how much it means to me. This has been professionally one of the most difficult times of my life, one of the most shocking times of my life. So I'm looking forward starting my own company, TawariResearchGroup.com, building something even better, something even bigger, working hand in hand with my subscribers to provide you the most value that I can. Because at the end of the day, it's about value. I've got to be adding you value. If I'm not adding you value, I might as well just go hang out on my yacht and be with my family. So I know you'll always keep my feet to the fire to make sure that I am adding that value to you. But I want you to know that this connection is important to me. So thank you. All right, friends. Once again, I want to thank you so much for being here today. And I want you to always remember, let the game come to you.
So that concludes today's episode. Thank you for listening. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. You can find the show notes on www.tikatiwari.com. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with others, talk about it on social media, and leave a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe so that you never miss another episode. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.